Yes.
So I heard all of this, and so before I provide my perspective, I just want to ask this. So what do you guys think about the red pill movement then, and the fact that the red pill movement is so pronounced? If you honestly feel like it's a small majority or a small percentage of men who are moving this way. So what do you think about, or how do you even explain the red pill movement then?
I think that's a larger issue. That's a reaction to feminism in general. Those guys are in that camp a little bit, but I don't think they're just that's a driving of the red pill movement because we don't like women, and that's the base of it. Now that premise, I just flat out reject.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of briefly say that much like what Jay was saying about the marketing problem on that side, it's like because people are pointing out certain things, it's automatically we don't like. I think we got to be able to separate between criticizing, whether it be that automatically means you don't like something. I mean, I think honestly, a lot of people like something that they criticize. So I don't think that it's a matter of the red pill movement or whatever. I think it's kind of blown out of proportion. But I certainly do think I'm going to bounce past it to you because I want to be more toxic and go back to something that Tia said. So go ahead, Esther, there before let me hear.
See, now I'm concerned.
How do we know, girl? I'm going to tell you how we know.
Because I actually had another question that I had. So the next question, so that was just the first part of the clip. The second part of the clip actually talked about finding a capable wife and how women end up being dependents versus a partner because the man was only looking at her sexually versus liking her emotionally and physically, right? I mean, emotionally and spiritually. And so I want to know in regards to that piece, as far as finding that partner, that capable partner, what do you guys think about that aspect of it when you look, if all you see is the vajayjay and men only want them for sex, does that hinder their ability to find a capable partner, or are they really just looking for that dependent?
That sounds good what he was saying, right? And honestly, in my own lived reflection, I do give a lot of credit to my wife in terms of who I am today. But not everybody's built like that. For some people, all they need is their wife to fit a particular function and form in their lives. Like that's not for everybody. So yes, in the most Disney progressive way where both people are having all this value and all this other stuff, yada, yada, yada. But for that guy, maybe he doesn't see a certain utility beyond that. And if it works for both of those people, I ain't tripping off of that.
A man needs a wife to partner with him to accomplish his ambition in life, his great dream, whatever that is, right? Now, she can't help him partner in his dream if she doesn't understand his dream, right? But that's a whole nother thing. It just to this point, though, I mean,
yeah, I'm going to shoot back at you too, Jay. I'm about to say that's bullshit
what?
too, Jay.
Why? Because what I'm saying, no, listen to me. If his dream is to come home every day to a warm dinner and a house that's clean, that's his ambition in life, right? Then he goes to find a woman and she said, I cook, I clean, this is what I do. It can be happily matched and he can be fine is what I'm saying. But I'm saying he needs to know his ambition, and she needs to be able to understand his ambition, or they're not going to be able to partner. If he's low ambition, that's cool. If he's high ambition, then she needs to deal with that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think the context of what S&M was saying, though, was this idea that people will say, and I'm not opposed to it because that's my own reflection. Hey, finding a wife will help you do X, Y, and Z, right? It's a benefit in all these different ways. I don't necessarily push back against that. But the role that wife plays doesn't have to be your business counselor. Doesn't have to be like your psychologist. We just talked about the whole thing about a woman not being your everything. Right? So it just makes complete sense that, hey, you know what? Maybe she is just the woman that I trust to be the wife in terms of taking care of the home and taking care of my kids. And we fuck. Like, who's to decide that that's like, oh my God, that's all you want me for? If it works for both of them, I'm not finna tell a man that he needs to find a wife to be his partner because he can't do X, Y, and Z without her. I'm not gonna do that. I may champion it, but I'm not gonna tell him he needs that for that. He may have his own purpose for that. That's all I'm saying.
Devin, you look like you chomping at the bit to say something.
No, actually, I don't disagree with my good brother Nick at all. I think, depending on the guy's needs, that might work for him, and that's okay. It's not for me to say, oh, well, your wife should be your consigliere and your prayer warrior and your this and your that, your sparring partner. Hey, listen, I may just really need you because I want you to cook amazing spaghetti dinners and send me, nudes every hour on the hour. Like, okay, that's you can't complain. You can't complain when she's not an Excel spreadsheet wizard because that's not what she signed up for.
Exactly.
That's not the utility you put her in
That's not
place.
what she good at, huh?
Right, you just wanted that box and maybe that
that's
cleaning.
what you want. So that's what you got. That's what you get.
That might have been all you needed.
S&M, you're going to answer this damn question because I want to shoot back into here, and it's like, you're over here dilly-dallying, and I'm trying to make space for you. You're talking about how do we know? What you mean we're men? How do we know? Go ahead. Before let me host it myself.
Okay, so let me answer the question.
Go
Let
ahead.
me answer the question super quick so you get your shot back. So this is what I'm going to say. I actually thought that this was great. I already knew this, that some men already wanted women just for the box because they lead with that. That's the way men are built. That's the way they're conditioned from the time they were a young buck running around and watching their older brothers and fathers and uncles and so forth do what they do. So they're already conditioned to only want the boxes. They're already conditioned to believe that they deserve the box. And then they're conditioned to believe that and operate with women in that box itself, i.e. keep us in that box for some men. Now, what I will say is that what I did appreciate about this conversation was that he put it in simple speak because sometimes men and women don't understand simple speak, right? They don't understand they don't make the necessary connection between they're like, oh, men don't like us, right? Or I know you guys seen this on social media. As soon as a man acts like he don't like you, the first thing they say, oh, it's because he batting for the other team. Or they say, oh, he's gay or whatever the case may be without recognizing, no, he's sexually attracted. He just don't like spending time with you. He just don't like being with you because he don't like being around women. Women sound like cattiness in his ears or something like that. So he'll go for the box before he go with that emotional attachment and so forth. And so I thought that was actually a pretty good way to explain in simple speak, i.e. keep it simple, stupid, so that folks would have a better understanding and not just keep making these generic catchphrases of, oh, he must be gay. Oh, he must be banned for the other team without recognizing the nuances of it and understanding the psychology behind it. And so I say kudos to him for doing it. Y'all was like, oh, and. And so it's like, well, no. And he's explaining something that while y'all may recognize, other people, especially the people dating now, may not recognize and know the root of this. And that's what I appreciate.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Because y'all women act like, as men, especially those of us who are privileged to move a certain type of way of being in the company of other men who have had experiences. You ask us, how do we know? How would we not know? I get that y'all think y'all have an intimate experience, and that's true because that's a whole different vibe. And yes, men are not always being honest in certain ways to other men in regards to what's going on. But for those people who are only basing their information off of what people say, shame on them. That's not what I'm basing my information on, right? I'm basing my information on, I've seen guys pretend that they have no feelings whatsoever. And then like the minute that something happens and it's clear they got feelings. You know why? Because as much as they're saying one thing out of their mouths, their actions are saying something different, right? Men will pretend. We have been conditioned to pretend like we don't care to a certain extent. And in fact, sometimes when we show that we care, maybe it's seen as a weakness, or some of y'all don't like that, or it's not as attractive. But it doesn't mean that men don't care. This goes back to what I was saying before about discernment to a certain extent. You know what I hear a lot of times when you brought the whole red pill thing? I hear guys hurt. These niggas are hurt. You think people are hurt in situations that they don't care about? You think that's what happens? No. Like, these people are hurt for situations that they actually do care about. And they don't know, some of them, maybe not all, but a lot of them just don't know how to articulate their hurt or how to process their hurt. It's no different than what I was saying about Jordan Taylor in terms of her being triggered. These guys, some of them, many of them, and men, women or whatever, are having bad experiences. So what I hear from them is hurt. If you just listen to them for face value, then yes, maybe you'll assume that, oh, they don't like women. No, they've been hurt by women. Many of them have. Right? And maybe because of that, they may have a dislike for women. But at the core of it, if they had a chance to sniff or to be in the presence of, or maybe get a little, their whole dispositions would change. You dig what I'm saying? People talk a lot of shit when they're not getting what it is that they feel that they want. So that's why that's why I say I do not believe it's a large number of men who don't like women for real. There's a large number of men who are not capable of communicating their life for women. There's a whole bunch of men who have been stifled or who've been taught to kind of bottle their emotions. There's a whole bunch of men who are hurt and are displacing their hurt for what their mama did to them, to the women that they're dealing with in their lives. But that does not mean that there isn't some genuine affection and connection for these men. It does not mean that they're gay, right?